Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2D Reviewers. My name is Dave,
And I'm Dirk.
and today we are going to do a how to play Marvel Champions. We're going to do the very intro scenario, how you get it fresh out of the box. So if you're brand new to Marvel Champions, this is the video for you. And all you need is this box. And you can see it's pretty well worn.
It's seen some love.
It's seen some love. So, remove the box. So you're going to, this will have your dials, but we've already got dials already made, so we're not going to go and punch them out, but that's something you'll see. You also see a bunch of decks that are bundled together, and you can, right out of the box, get going with these. If you're playing two players, you can use these three decks. If you're doing solo, then you only need Spider-Man and Rhino. But if you're playing two players, then you got Captain Marvel. And this intro scenario is for up to two players, but the box will allow you to play up to four players, but you would have to build the decks. But the decks that we're playing today are the ones that are bundled with these cover cards. So we'll remove those. On the backs, if you ever need to rebuild the decks, you'll be able to, it has a deck building guide. All right. So you get two books. You get this one, which is Learn to Play, which is what we're going to use today. Then when you're comfortable, you got the rules reference, which will have the full set of rules. And this is a living document, and it does get updated on FFG's site, Final Fantasy Game site. They're up to version 1.5 now, but this will be sufficient for you starting out. Do you have any comments, Dirk?
No, it actually sounds pretty good there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So,
All right, we're going to go through the Learn to Play. So, basically talks about what a living card game is, the component list, how to build the dials. Okay, so setup. So we're gonna go through the setup process, but you choose your heroes. So we've got Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, and the game starts. The heroes will start in their alter ego side. So I got Carol Danvers here, and we've got Peter Parker here, which Peter Parker, not Spider-Man. Carol Danvers. I'll put her up on this. You can see what she does. She's got a 4 recovery. What that means is anytime you have this little explosion on the side of the card, that is a basic action that you can do. You will exhaust the character to trigger the ability. And what REC is for recovery, and you'd be able to heal 4 hit points. So she has 12 hit points, hand size of 6. She's shield soldier traded. She has the commander ability, which is an action, which we'll go over what actions mean. But you could choose a player to draw a card, limit once per round. And then we have Peter Parker, who's got a recovery of 3. He's got 10 hit points, hand size 6. He's a genius. He has the scientist ability, which is a resource. He can generate a mental resource, limit once per round. We'll go over what that means as well. So continuing with the book, we have our hit point dials that we set to the starting hit points, which for Carol it's 12. For Peter it's...
I've got 10.
Okay. We have a first player marker, which we determine randomly who the first player is. Okay, so I will be the first player.
We already determined that before the show.
And then we have cards that are called obligations that are set aside. But in this scenario, they're just going to be shuffled in because there's no setup. But in the original game, you actually do all the setup before you add your obligations. But that is something they changed in 1.5. Everybody has a Nemesis set, which are 5 orange back cards, which is the same back as the encounter deck. You set them aside; they may or may not come into the game. We've already the decks, like I said, were already pre-built. But there are 3 types of cards. There is your hero card. There is the aspect card, which in Spider-Man's case is Justice, and then there are basic cards. And then there's different tokens that are stun, confuse, and tough, and then marker tokens, which you'll see that when we come into play. All right, so select the villain. We've selected Rhino, who is the starting villain. We're playing standard, so Rhino has 2 stages. So what you do to win the game is you have to defeat Rhino twice. He has 14 hit points per player. So there's this little meeple symbol there. That means per player. So since there's 2 of us, he has 28 hit points. He has a scheme of 1. What scheme means is when someone is alter ego, he is going to try to continue his plan, which is the break-in. When you're a hero, he will attack. That's what the ATK is. And you will take the damage. If he does 2 points of damage to you, then you reduce your dial by 2. He's brute, criminal, but he doesn't have any other special abilities at stage 1. When he gets to stage 2, other things will happen. His main scheme is called the break-in. You can see in bold print here, it says that this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So what happens is the players are going to take a round, and then the villain gets to do his stuff. And the very first thing the villain will do is we add 1 threat per player onto this scheme. And it's 7 threat per player to complete. So if he ever gets 14, he wins.
Which, that it doesn't sound like a lot, but that comes up. It doesn't sound like a lot because it's not. That can come up on you real quick. But a lot of the other villains in the game will have more than 1, but in his case, it's just a single 1.
All right. The other thing we have here, the villain deck is multi-parted, just like a hero deck. We have Rhino's cards. We've got what's called the standard set, which are these cards are in almost every single scenario. And then we have what's called a modular set. So the one that we have is Bomb Scare, because it's the one that came bundled with them. But the box has multiple modules, and you can mix and match. The box also has 3 villains, and 5 heroes. So there's a lot of content in this one box.
Right, and that's the great thing about it is you've got the replayability by mixing the stuff up and playing different scenarios, different heroes against it, different modules. So it gives you a lot of replayability there.
Okay. At this step, we're getting into the beginning of the game. I'm going to remove the learn to play because we're going to explain things as we go. So let's deal with our hero cards first. I kind of already went over the alter ego. During your turn, you are allowed to flip your identity card from one side to the other. So alter ego is Carol Danvers. So if I'm Carol Danvers, and when Rhino goes, he would do his scheme of 1 to add to here. If I'm Captain Marvel, then he would get to do his attack against my 12 hit points. But we also have, as you can see, 3 more basic abilities. Thwart. Now, what Thwart does is we're going to get these counters are going to get added to this scheme. And again, if it gets to 14, we lose. But I can thwart for 2, and I can reduce this from a 5 to a 3, say. So we're making it harder for him to finish winning by scheming. The other ability is attack of 2. That's what ATK is for attack. And that will reduce his hit point dial by 2. Defense of 1. So when Rhino attacks, you have the option to actively defend. So if I do that, then I'm reducing the amount of damage I'm going to take by 1.
But, the thing there is if you defend, though, you have to keep in mind that means you're not using your basic action during your turn, typically.
Correct. She also has what's called rechannel. She's an Avenger and Soldier. Rechannel, as an action, I can spend an energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel and draw 1 card. So what that means is, if we look at a card here, all the cards have at least 1 resource icon on them. And this one happens to be a mental. But if this was an energy, I could discard this card to draw a card and heal a damage instead of playing it for its ability, which we'll go over. And then for Spider-Man, what do we got?
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things about this game is you have to make the decision all the time of whether or not you want to use the card for its face ability, which means you have to use other cards to pay for it, or whether you want to use it for a resource. So they're kind of a multi-use card there.
Okay, for Spider-Man, we have a thwart of 1, so again, that would remove from here. He has an attack of 2, which would reduce hit points, and he has a defense of 3. And he has Spider Sense, which is an interrupt. When the villain initiates an attack against you, draw a card, which is very nice. And that will happen during the villain phase. Okay, so the anatomy of a turn. So as we mentioned, starting with the first player, which is me, I will take my turn, then Dirk will take his turn, and then Rhino will take his turn, and then we'll pass the first player marker, and then Dirk will take, on turn 2, Dirk will go first, and then when he's done, I will go, and then Rhino goes, and we keep going until one of the till either Dirk and I win or Rhino wins.
And Rhino will also activate against us in player order as well.
Right. You'll see that when we come into play. Okay. So our decks, these are the decks for the game. These, once you'll find out, once you pass this intro, these are not actually valid decks. They're like 32 cards or something. But these are the decks that for teaching, basically. So you look at your hand size and alter ego, which is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
This is a 40 card deck.
Is it 40?
This one's 40.
Oh, okay. I was thinking they are 40. Never mind. I was thinking of a different game, apparently. All right. So we get to do what's called a mulligan. So I'm looking at what cards I want to play on turn 1.
And we will remove this.
Any other cards we don't want to play, we will discard. So I am going to discard these 2. Well, no, I'm not going to discard any cards, actually. I'm going to keep my hand.
So I am actually going to keep my hand as well, because even though I'm the Justice player, so my main kind of job in this scenario is to make sure that the threat stays under control. And even though there's no threat on there right now, and I have a handful of quite a few Justice cards, I can, like I said, you can use those as resources to pay for other cards. So I've got some setup cards that I can play with those.
All right. I'll go first. So I'm going to use this card called the Power of Aggression, which doubles the number of resources this card generates when paying for an aggression event card, an aggression card, and it's a wild. So this counts as 2 wild icons because I'm going to play Combat Training. What Combat Training does is it gives me a +1 ATK. So now I have a +1 to my attack, and I'm just going to, I'll set that right there. Then I'm going to use a strength card, which generates 2 resources, plus 2 other cards, which is a resource each. So that's 4 in total to play an Avenger Mansion. And this is max 1 per player. As an action, I can exhaust Avenger Mansion, choose a player. That player draws a card. So I'll put the mansion right there. These cards get discarded. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Avenger Mansion and draw a card. Then I'm going to use my Commander ability, which says choose a player to draw a card. I'll choose myself. Okay. I will flip to hero form. I'm going to use this energy card, which is 2 resources, to play a Haymaker, which costs 2. And it deals 3 damage to an enemy. So I'm going to do 3 damage to Rhino. So he's down to 25. And then I will use my basic ATK for another 2. So he is now down to 23, because I did 5 damage to him. Yeah, so he's at 23. And that will conclude. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I have a +1 with combat training, so I did 3 damage, not 2 damage. So I did 6 damage to him. My turn is now completed. So Dirk, it is now your turn.
Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to spend 3 resources to play a Helicarrier, which is a support card that comes out. And the Helicarrier, what it allows me to do is I can tap that to reduce the cost of a card by 1. So it's not quite the same as playing a resource. It reduces the cost. So the interaction's a little bit different there. Actually, I forgot about this. Peter actually has he can generate a mental resource, so it only costs me 2 cards to do that instead of the 3, because the mental resource is 1 as well. So then I will flip over into Spider-Man's hero form, and I will, let's see here, we are going to spend the Helicarrier to reduce the cost of my next card to play, which is an Interrogation Room, and that is a 1 cost support as well. So again, that one stays out, and there is a max of 1 of these per player. So there's 2 of them in the deck. So the others is basically just a resource to me at this point because I can't play it. But what it allows me to do is, as a response, after I defeat a minion, I can exhaust this card to remove 1 threat from the scheme. So it's a way to, I guess, passively reduce threat. I'm not using an active thwart action, but I can use an attack to remove threat. So we've got that. And then
one important note is it says max 1 per player, but he cannot play it on me, for example, because like this combat training says play under any player's control. So I have 2 in my deck. If I get the second one, I can play this card on Dirk, but Dirk cannot play this card on me, because it does not allow you to put it on any player's control. So this extra card now is just a resource in his deck, like he said.
Okay, so we will place this here, and then at this point, since there's no thwart on the scheme, I will just go ahead and attack Rhino for 2.
All right, he is down to 20.
Okay.
This is a really good setup, because one important note that we may not have emphasized is that you get on the Avenger Mansion and the Helicarrier is you can choose a player, and that player draws the card or gets the discount. So we have some flexibility for both of us now between the Helicarrier and the Avenger Mansion.
Right. And this is a team game, so you definitely want to help your teammates out if they need it.
Correct.
Okay, so
and you're done with your turn?
I'm done with my turn.
Okay, so the last thing we do is we ready our cards and check your hand size, because now the hand size is smaller in Hero than Alter Ego. So you are allowed to discard any cards left in your hand. Dirk's got a couple in his hand.
So looking at what I have in my hand, we have no minions out, so I'm actually going to discard both of my cards.
Okay. And I had 0 cards left in my hand, so I'm going to draw 5 cards.
And I also have a hand size of 5 in hero form.
5.
Oh, this is nice.
Now, it's important to look at your cards, because sometimes you might have some defense cards that you can play during the villain phase, which is what's coming up next. So now we go to the villain phase. So step 1 of the villain phase is that we add threat. So we add 1 threat per player.
Okay, so that adds 1, 2.
Okay. And then Rhino's going to activate against each of us. So you check what form you're in. Since I'm hero, he's going to attack me. And Dirk's hero, he's going to attack Dirk as well. So he is attacking me for a base 2. Now, I have the option to defend. If I choose that, I can exhaust my character. And like we mentioned in the intro, you only get to unexhaust at the end of the hero phase. So if I choose to do this, I will not be able to use my basic abilities during the hero phase. But since I only have a defense of 1 and I want to use my basic abilities, I am going to choose to just take the attack. So what we do is it's 2, and he gets what's called a boost card. So we reveal an encounter card, and all we care about is, if this will show up on the camera, is the number of these little triangles. And that's how much extra damage he's doing. So he's doing 2 plus 1. So that's 3 damage to me.
And so if there's three triangles on there, then he would have done 5 damage. So it's you count the triangles.
Right. So I am down to 9 health, and now he's going to attack Dirk.
Okay, so now one thing. So my spider senses are tingling. So I have this spider sense ability. It's an interrupt. So as soon as the villain initiates the attack, so I don't even have to decide yet whether I'm blocking because he's initiating it, I get to draw a card. Oops. And I have to draw from the right deck. Okay, so that... Okay, it's a good card. Unfortunately, doesn't help my hand that a lot. So, and then I actually can defend for 3. So in this case, I actually think I don't have any basic abilities that I'm looking to use based off of what's my hand. So I am actually going to tap exhaust to block this attack. So he blocks for the base of 2. We flip the 1 card, and in this one you'll see he's got 2 of the little triangles on there. So he's attacking me for a total of 4. Since I blocked for 3, I will take 1 point of damage here. So I'm down to 9.
Okay. And that is the villain's activation. Now we go to what's called the encounter phase. So we each draw an encounter card, and now we do have to deal with the text of the card. So mine is Enhanced Ivory Horn, which gives Rhino a +1 attack. It says attached to Rhino. You could spend 3 strength resources. So this is specifically wanting the red fist symbols. To discard this card. So he now has a base attack of 3 until someone is willing to spend 3 strength to get rid of that. So we'll put that right there.
Okay, and then for me, I have a treachery card, and that is False Alarm, which what this one does is when it's revealed, then I am confused, which is not a great thing to happen to a Justice player because of the different statuses, there is... confused, and I don't know where they're at. Awesome. So, but the confuse means that you are not able to thwart while you have that status, and you have to use a thwart action to get rid of it. So that means either you use a basic action, which unfortunately I am exhausted, so I cannot do that base action this turn, or you have to spend the resources to play a thwart card to get rid of it. So that's,
So Dirk will get this card on his identity, and the next time the character would thwart or scheme, like he mentioned, discard the status card. So like he said, a basic action or a thwart event. So we'll put this on Spider-Man.
And the other thing on that card, the false alarm card, was if I already had a confused status, then the card would gain surge. So we would draw a new card as a replacement so that it's not just a wasted action for the villain.
There's also a stun version of that for attacking, and a tough. So instead of taking damage when you're defending or being attacked, you prevent all the damage. Okay, so that resolves the villain phase with one last step. We passed the first player token, and now we're in turn 2.
Okay, so, and like I said, this was not a wonderful turn for me because the card that I did have was a thwart card that I was hoping to be able to use. But I don't want to stay confused, so the only action I'm actually going to have is I'm going to spend this card, this Power of Justice card, which is the Justice version of the card that Dave showed earlier, and it is a wild resource, but if I spin this to play for a Justice event, it actually, I can double it, so it's worth 2 resources, and I'm going to be playing this For Justice card, which is a 2-cost thwart event. So because I am confused, then I won't actually be able to take the action on there. but it will get rid of this confused status for me, so I'm no longer confused. So that hopefully I will actually be able to do something next turn, because unfortunately that is all that I am able to do this turn.
So your helicarrier is available?
The helicarrier is available to you. I have nothing to spend it on.
Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Avenger Mansion and draw a card. Okay. Then...
And now, if Dave does turn up needing this, the resource discount from the helicarrier, he could, during his turn, he can call for an action, which allows me to take the action on the card, because normally you can only play actions during your turn.
Yeah, so I'm going to use 3 cards plus the helicarrier. So that's 1, 2, 3 plus the discount to play Nick Fury. Nick Fury, he costs 4. He's got a thwart of 2, attack of 2, 3 hit points. But his shield spy, force response is after Nick Fury enters play, choose one of the following options. Remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, or deal 4 damage to an enemy. At the end of the round, though, Nick Fury, if he's still in play, he will get discarded.
So he is an expensive ally, but he's very versatile.
And I'm going to use him to draw 3 cards. So I draw 3 cards.
Card advantage is a great thing.
It sure is. I'm going to use your staying up.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to use 3 resources to get Mockingbird out. What Mockingbird does is she costs 3. She's a 1/1, 3 hit points. Response: after Mockingbird enters play, stun an enemy. I'll choose to stun Rhino.
So we actually get to put the attack one on Rhino. So same thing applies to him as it does to us. The next time he would go to attack us, he gets rid of that instead.
And then I'm going to use this card as a resource to play Alpha Flight Station. It costs 1. And then it says, exhaust Alpha Flight Station, choose and discard 1 card from your hand, draw 1 card, draw 2 cards instead if you are Carol Danvers. So Alpha Flight Station, which is the support, will come out. Then I'm going to have Nick thwart for 2.
Okay, so that removes all of the thwart.
And this little star underneath him means that he takes what's called consequential damage, so he's going to take a hit point damage. Mockingbird is going to attack Rhino for 1.
And she also has this. Most characters will have consequential damage on them, so she'll take 1.
And then I'm going to attack for 3 because I have my combat training. And so now Rhino is down to 16 health.
Oh, he's getting down close to our range now.
And that is my turn. So now we ready our cards. And we draw up to our hand size.
Okay, and I am going to draw 1 card. Oh, wow.
Okay. Then we add 2 threat. Because now the beginning of the villain phase. And then Rhino would attack Dirk. But instead of attacking, he loses his stun. Since the attack didn't trigger, he doesn't get to use his spider sense.
Unfortunately, I don't get to use it, and I could really use that card right now.
Then he's attacking me, and I'm going to choose to have Nick block. So that's one thing you can do is you can have your allies defend for you. So Nick is going to jump in the way. He would be exhausted for the next turn, but he is going to actually go away. But I'm going to exhaust him because, like, if I used Mockingbird, for example, she would be exhausted and I couldn't use her next turn. But I'm going to use Nick.
So, and in this case, also, if he did not have Nick out there, who's going to be going away, I could actually block for him, which would mean I would have to exhaust and jump in front of the attack, basically, which I still would not get the spider sense, though, because that's when the attack initiates, and the attack initiated against Dave, not me. So that's important to keep note. I think early on we might have actually messed that up.
All right, so he's got a base attack of 3 plus 1 boost, so that's 4.
Okay.
So Nick Fury is defeated, but he did his job. And then we get
encounter card. So I get 1, Dave gets 1. And my encounter card says it's a Hydra Bomber. So it says, when revealed, choose to either take 2 damage or place a threat. But what I am going to do is I actually have a card that's called Enhanced Spider Sense here. It is a 1-cost event.
It's not a treachery.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, no. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, so this is a minion. So this is a helper for Rhino. And yeah, he's got a scheme of 1, attack of 1. He will activate after the villain activates if he's still alive. He's got 2 hit points. And like you said, did you took 2 damage?
No, yeah, I have it. It's the revealed. So in this particular case, I'm going to take the 2 damage. So I'm down to 7. Because Rhino does not give us a lot of wiggle room on the threat. So I'd rather not take that.
All right. And then we have Hard to Keep Down. Rhino heals 4 damage. So that's unfortunate.
So that is a treachery card with the wood revealed. So now I can use that Enhanced Spider Sense.
Yep.
So, and which here's the card. You already put the card over there. So.
Oh, yeah.
But because I have a handful of double resources, I'm actually overpaying for it. Right. But it prevents that from happening.
Nice. So that goes away. And then the last thing is we move over. The first player marker moves over. All right. I am going to use a Power of Aggression. Now this green is wild, so I can choose it to be any resource I want. What I want to use it is a Strength. So I have this Relentless Assault here. It costs 2. Deal 5 damage to a minion. If you paid for this card using a Strength resource, which I did, the attack gains Overkill, which means excess damage from the attack is dealt to the villain. So I'm going to attack this bomber. He has a hit points of 2, so the bomber dies, and Rhino will take 3 damage. I should probably slide this over so it's not under the other window there. All right, so that's the Relentless Assault. So that took care of that.
And now what I was actually wondering before you go too far in is the Avenger Mansion. Yeah. Since I have a fistful of resources and nothing to spend them on, if you do not need it, I was going to see if it's available. If you need it, that's fine.
Tell you what, I'll give it to you if you give me the helicarrier.
That's a deal.
Okay. It's yours. So the helicarrier gives me a discount. I got 1, which is an energy, which will be important here in a second, and a mental. So that's 3 total. To play Photonic Blast, deal 5 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using an energy, which I did, draw a card. So that's 5 damage to Rhino.
So Rhino is now down to 8.
And I'll draw a card. I am.
Is the card a 1-cost card?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I'm going to. I'm going to take care of the thwart, and then I think I'm going to flip down. So okay. I'm going to thwart for 2 to remove the threat. I'm going to flip over, and I'm going to use the Alpha Flight Station, which Alpha Flight Station, since I'm Alter Ego now, I discard this card that's in my hand, and I draw 2 cards. Okay, well, that did not help. Mockingbird will do a point of damage to Rhino.
Nope. Oh, yeah.
And take a consequential. And I tell you what, I'm going to give you my commander ability so you can draw a card.
Okay.
And then you also could draw one from the mansion since you said you have a lot of double resources. So.
Yeah, now I have a decision to make here. Oh, okay, well, actually, we have no threat on the main scheme, so that actually makes this an easy decision. So I will spend 2 double resources to play a Webbed Up card, which the Webbed Up card cost 4, so it's an expensive card, but it does a lot. So what it does is it basically, you play it on the enemy, on the villain, and whenever they would attack, they discard the Webbed Up card instead. and then they become stunned. So it's, in essence, it stuns them for 2 turns.
All right, so we'll put that on top of him.
So,
and those are those.
And then I will go ahead and use my base attack and attack Rhino for 2, so he is now down to 5.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see. So I've got 2 cards left. I will go ahead and end my turn, and I am going to keep those 2 cards this time.
And I'm choosing to keep my 2 cards as well. So we ready? Draw up to her hand size, which for me is currently 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And go ahead and...
Okay, so first thing we will do is we will add the 2 threat per player.
All right. And then since I'm Carol Danvers now, he is going to scheme. The webbed up does not stop him from scheming, unfortunately.
It's only attacks. So he will scheme for 1
plus
a boost. So
of 1.
An additional 1. So he schemes for 2, so he now has 4. Then he would go to attack me, but since he has the webbed up, we remove the webbed up and place a stunned on him. And so then he does not get to attack. So that is his attack turn. Move on to the encounter phase.
All right. Armored Rhino Suit. So this is attached to him. When any amount of damage would be dealt to Rhino, place it here instead.
Boo!
Then if there's at least 5 damage here, we get to discard it. So he basically has a shield for a bit.
Okay. And then what I have is I actually have one of his side schemes. So he now, in addition to the main scheme, he has a secondary scheme as well.
Oh, that's expert, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dave's looking because in expert mode we start with.
Yeah,
that.
you start with this card. That's what threw me off for a minute. So breaking and taking. When revealed, place an additional threat per player here. So it's going to start with 4, and this is what's called a hazard icon, and that deals 1 encounter card to the first player. So the first player is going to end up getting 2 encounter cards instead of 1 if this is still in play.
Okay.
And now we pass the first player marker, which apparently was off camera, but that's...
Okay, so that actually, I think, might change what I was going to do just a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Let me look here. You know, while I like this, I don't think... No, it's not going to change what I was going to do. I'm going to continue to do what I was going to do from the start. So, pardon me. So what I will do is, since we're already halfway up to, or not halfway, we're a quarter of the way up on our main scheme. I don't like that, so I'm going to spend my Power of Justice, a double resource, to play a 4 Justice card, which is the same card I played earlier, except this time I actually get to use it, since I'm not confused. But what this does is it's a thwart action that removes 3 threat from the scheme, and if I use a mental resource, which since I did the Power of Justice, those are wild, then instead it removes 4 threat from that scheme. And I am going to remove the 4 threat from the main scheme to clear that.
Nice.
My second action, since I have 3 left, what are you doing on your turn? What's your plans?
I can come up and remove the... throw some threat.
I'm asking because I can deal 8 damage right now. I have a swinging web kick in my hand. I can deal 8 damage, but he only has 5.
Oh. Yeah, I can do... Well, I could do that instead. I could do 5 damage, but I can't do it till my turn. So
okay, well, see, so since this is an action, I can actually hold this action until Dave's turn, and he can call for an action, and I can do it on his turn. So, with that being the case, now I do need the helicarrier to do that, so unfortunately it's not available. But I will go ahead. Oh, actually, would you like me to remove 1 threat, or I can put 2 attack on if that's a better situation for you?
The threat, because
threat. So I will go ahead and
this attack does 5.
I will remove one threat from the main scheme there, or from the side scheme, and I will go ahead and pass the turn.
All right. So before I come up, I'm going to use Alpha Flight Station. I'm going to discard a card to draw 2 cards. Okay, I'm going to use my commander ability to draw the top card of my deck. All right. Then I'm going to use Avenger Mansion to draw a card.
And what I've realized is we were thinking that just a 5 attack here, but we forgot Rhino has his suit, so we actually have to get through his suit first.
Correct. All right, I'm going to flip to Captain Marvel. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to spend 3 cards. A couple energies there, which is important because I'm going to use a Photon Blast. Deal 5 damage to enemy, so I'm getting rid of his suit. Since I used energy, I get to draw a card.
And because the revelation here, if it works out better for you to be able to use the helicarrier, and we can do it without wasting damage, you can have the helicarrier. If not, though, I can still use it to do an attack and flip him.
Yeah, I don't have any more attacks in my hand.
Okay. I can also wait till next turn to flip him too, if we would rather do that, since it'll be the end of your turn. So.
Well, no, actually I can do 5 damage. I'll do it that way instead. Okay, so I'm going to use this energy absorption card, which is 3 resources.
Which is a lot of resources in this for a single card.
And I'm going to put Tigra into play. And now we need to do the 5 hit points, so his swinging web kick will do 8 on his next form. When you're exhausted, right?
I am exhausted, yes.
Oh, actually, I think doesn't he come in tough, though? Oh, no, that's stage 3. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I will have Mockingbird do 1, so that will defeat Mockingbird.
So it takes him to 4.
Tigra will do 2, and I will do 2.
And that takes him to 0, so now he will flip.
And I have to exhaust because I used my basic ability.
So, stage 1 is gone. Stage 2 comes into play. He now has, instead of 2 damage, he schemes for 1 still, but he does 3 damage. He is still a brute and criminal. However, when he is revealed, so when we go to this stage, we search the encounter deck and discard pile for the break-in and take-in side scheme and reveal it. Which, that one is actually already out in play, so there's nothing to reveal there. And then we shuffle the encounter deck. So, technically, we shuffle the encounter deck. We didn't actually deal anything out of it, but just to do what we're supposed to do, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle that real quick.
Okay, and he's got 15 hit points per player, so he comes in with 30 hit points. And a base attack now of 4, but thankfully he's stunned.
Okay, and then since we've now flipped him, and he's not tough, so if you want to call for an action, we'll call for an action here. I'll spend my 3 resources. I will play the swinging web kick here, which is an attack that deals 8 points of damage. So it's a pretty decent size attack there. So that will automatically put Rhino down to 22 hit points. Okay, and then back to our previously scheduled program.
I am going to discard 2 resources to get my helmet. So Captain Marvel's helmet, it costs 2. It's an upgrade. Captain Marvel gets +1 defense, +2 if I'm aerial. Well, I'm not currently aerial. But I now have a defense of 2 instead of 1. And I will hold on to this card that's in my hand. And I am done.
Okay.
So we ready? Draw up to our hand size.
And then I will go ahead and it's still on, so it's, still 1 per player. Here on the main scheme only. We don't add to the side scheme because they don't have the symbol.
All right. And now the villain activates. He is stunned against Dirk.
So instead of activating, that will go away.
And now he's going to attack me.
And unless you have a need to, you don't need to actually block this, right? You don't get anything out of it.
No.
So I will go ahead. I will jump in front of that. I will pay a backflip. So he'll attack. Actually, I have to wait until the attack goes through. So
So he's attacking for a base 4.
So 4, and this card has none on there, so it's just 4 points of damage. And what I will do is I will play this backflip. But since he did not initiate the attack against me, I don't get the card draw from it from my spider senses. But this will prevent all damage from his attack. So his 4 damage does not actually hit me.
All right. And then we go to the encounter phase.
So I get my card. Dave gets his. My card here is a charge. So it is an attachment that will get attached to Rhino. It adds 3 attack, or 3 to his attack, but it will go away. It's a forced interrupt, so we will discard it after the attack resolves.
And it also has overkill. So, like if I use Tigress, say the block, she only has 2 hit points left. Excessive damage would come to me. So yeah. So he is attacking for a base 7 with overkill. His next attack.
So now I'm almost wishing I would have held on to that backflip. Hopefully I will get another one.
All right, and then we get, this is from the standard set, Advance. So that means the villain schemes. So he's getting an extra scheme. So he schemes for 1 plus 2 more, so 3.
3 total, so that puts him up to 5 now.
All right, and the end of the villain phase, first player marker moves over. I am going to use the mansion to draw a card. Oh, nice. I'm going to use my Alpha Flight to discard a card to draw a card. Okay. It's off camera, but my deck just exhausted. So what that means is I'm going to shuffle my deck, but I get an extra encounter card. Oh, speaking of which, we forgot to do that. You should have got an extra encounter card.
Oh, I should have. Okay, so we'll go ahead.
Oops. Let me just.
And I'll do my extra encounter now that we forgot. Oh, he gets another charge. So his next attack is actually for 10 base.
Wow.
That's going to hurt.
That is definitely going to hurt.
Can I even block that?
No. If you
no.
have another backflip, you can.
We will have to see if I draw a backflip. Otherwise, I will not be able to sustain that even blocking it.
All right. We got to try to do some stuff here. He's got 22 hit points. Huh?
Okay, so I have another swinging web kick, so I can do another 8.
Well, that's good. You could do 8.
I can do 8.
And I could do 6 and 8. So that's 18, 20. If we could just figure out a way. Can I play both those cards? I don't think I can. No, because that card would pay for that. Oh, 20, 22. Wait. 6, 8,
Math
10,
is hard.
18. Wait. I could do 6, 8, 10. So I'm doing 10. You're doing 8 more.
Doing 8 more.
18.
And I'm exhausted, so I can't use that.
You don't have an ally you can play by chance?
Not if I'm going to do the 8 attack.
Dang it. Because I can get us up to 20 damage. You'd have 2 left.
Let me see. Ooh, actually, wait a minute. Let's see. Captain Marvel's ability is a card draw?
Well,
So hold on a minute. 1, 2,
if
3.
I could heal 1 damage, draw a card. If I discarded energy.
No, I meant if you actually did your attack and everything and then went down is what I was thinking.
Oh, and give you a card draw?
I'm trying to think. That would not be I would still be 1 resource short. Unless I drew a double, which all my doubles are in my discard, so I'm not going to see a double.
Okay. So
I cannot play an ally this turn.
Okay. Well, I can get him down to 2. Wait, would an extra resource help?
So I would need 2. My ally costs 2, and it would be the only card I had. So I would actually need 2 resources, not counting my helicarrier.
How much do they attack for?
She only attacks for. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. After I play her, I can discard the top 2 cards of my deck and add.
To do that.
You know what? If we can't get to it, there is a chance I might be able to get cards back for her, but there's no guarantee.
Okay, well, if I do it this way, this is 10, 12, 14. Oh, plus 8 is 22. Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Okay, so 5 energies. I'm going to put energy channel. So I'm putting energy channel. What energy channel does is spend X energy resources, which I spent 5. Put X energy counters here, so I need 5 energy counters. Then I can discard energy channel to deal 2 damage to an enemy to a maximum of 10 for each energy counter there. So it would technically come into play with 5. Then I'm going to exhaust it and spend 5 to do 10 damage to him.
Okay, so that takes him down to 12.
And then I'm going to use Tigra to do 2 points of damage.
Down to 10.
And I'll do 3 with Captain Marvel.
Well, that puts him down to 7.
And then I will end my turn.
Okay, and then for my turn, that makes it really easy. I will play another swinging web kick just like I did last turn. I will just spend 3 resources, do 8 points of damage. That takes him down.
And he is defeated.
Yay! Go team!
That's the way to avoid a 10 strength attack. Which he would have done 12. So
he probably would have one-shotted one of us.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, anyways, that is how you play Marvel Champions. We played, and you just need those 3 decks if you buy the box to try it out. Note that the game comes with 5 heroes, 4 aspects. So there's 2 other aspects that we didn't use, which is leadership, which is blue cards, and protection, which is green cards. Leadership's all about having lots of allies, and protection is being able to take damage, and healing, which is really nice. And yeah, that is Marvel Champions.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about this game, and you kind of saw it here, was the fact that, I mean, we won, but it was close because he was only 2 points away on the scheme from beating us this way. No. Plus, he also had this big, never mind, not two. Yeah, that's right. So he was a little further away than I thought. So okay, but he still could have beat us that way. But yeah, he could have hit one of us and taken one of us completely out. And you still have to do the damage to him for 2 players, even if one player gets knocked out. So
right. So I think the way it was, like even our first thought, where if he had 2 hit points left, we could have let one of us die, and then the other person would have finished him off the next turn, assuming that person survived the encounter phase.
Yes.
But this is a better way, because basically I was trying to see if I can get a helicarrier out, so that didn't happen. And I had some other items that I was going to do, but figuring out that energy channel was the better way to get the game accomplished. So, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like our content, and we'll talk to you again.